from a tiny girl, my mom would say, "You can't do that." And I was like, "Oh yeah? Watch me." And I did get myself in a whole bunch of hot water, got grounded, got my face slapped, got spanked with the wooden spoon, whatever that looked like, I did it. And I had a lot of fun. And I learned how, this is kind of funny. I learned how to be a really good liar when I was a kid. I would tell great stories to get myself out of being in trouble. So if that gives you any inclination of my personality, or that I'm speaking with bare feet, I like to break rules. I like to have fun. I like to be outrageous and adventurous. And I actually haven't been living that very much lately. I've been kind of like, ugh. And I realize how much I'm shutting myself down by not being me. So part of being me today is showing up barefoot, not pregnant. Oh. Been there, done that. Not doing that anymore. Not in this body, in this lifetime. So now I get to show up and have fun and be outrageous. So what else is possible for your life and living that you have never even thought of yet? And how many of you, when I asked that question, all of a sudden your world just went, right? You can get a sense of questions and how they expand your world and how they can create more for your life. So how many of you know about the law of attraction? Okay. How many of you have ever heard when you're using law of attraction tools to start asking questions of the universe? A few of you. Well, that's because you're my client and my friend. She's like, I have. I'm like, you're cheating. You already know this. I've been teaching you this for a long time. So when we start to ask questions, we create so much more space for things to come in our direction. When we go into conclusion, I have to have this. This is the only thing that's going to work for me. This man is perfect. We go into all of these conclusions and we start to shut down all of the possibility. So when we can start to ask questions about any given situation or things that we desire to have in our lives, we can create more. And if you think about some of the great thinkers of our time, Nikola Tesla, Albert Einstein, I would even go to say, who's the Apple guy? I can't think of his name right now.
Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs. Okay. And Bill Gates and all these great thinkers that don't think inside of the box. In fact, they probably don't even have a box. They just are like me, like, I'm just going to do what I'm going to do, and I don't care what anybody thinks, and I don't care if I break the rules or whatever that looks like. I'm just going to do it my way because it's the only way I know how to do it. So when they start asking questions, they can create. And look at these people, at everything they've created. Albert Einstein said that if he were given an hour to solve a problem, he would spend 55 minutes asking questions, looking for the right question to ask, and 5 minutes solving the problem. So you can see how well that worked out, right? I mean, huge things for him. So what kind of questions can we ask to create more for our lives? Well, here's a couple basic ones. What else is possible that I haven't even thought of yet? Or, you know, if life's kind of tough, and it's like, oh, I don't really enjoy this frustration or stress or whatever, what else is possible for my life? And another one that I love is, how does it get any better than this? Okay, you're driving through town, you're hitting all the green lights, you're like, woo! How does it get any better than this? I'll have some more of that, please. You know, or maybe some stress hits and you're like, ugh, and you're like constricted and you're like, oh, how does it get any better than this? Okay? When you can ask a question, you open up the space for more possibility. And don't ask a question looking for an answer per se. You're looking for an energy. So when I asked you guys, what else is possible for your life and living that you haven't even thought of yet, and all of a sudden this energy opens up and you're like, wow, that energy that we just opened up the possibilities to, you're looking for the match to that. You're not looking for a specific answer, okay? Now, when something shows up that is like, oh, I haven't even considered that as a possibility yet, and it matches that energy of that question you asked, then you know you're like on target there, okay? So I'm going to give you some examples of how I've used these questions in my life. So I had a daughter that was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis last year, and she was in the hospital for a week. and very, very sick, lost a lot of weight, a lot of blood, had to have a transfusion, like lots of different things going on with her at that time. And every single day I'd go into the hospital and, okay, what's right about this I'm not getting? And every single day I asked that question, and probably about the third day, I finally had the awareness of some things that it was creating for us. It helped me to realize, I mean, she was 13, and you guys know how much fun 13-year-olds can be, right? So in that moment, it helped shift our mother-daughter teenage relationship. And it helped me realize like how much I do love her and how much I would do anything for her. And it took me back to that time when she was an infant and she was helpless and she needed me for her survival. And I cuddled with her in our hospital bed and we cried and had these bonding moments that we probably never otherwise would have had. And I kept asking, what's right about this I'm not getting? And what's right about this I'm not getting? And I was kind of fighting the doctors because, you know, I like to do things differently. I don't like to do prescriptions and I don't like to do pills, and it's like, what supplements can we give her? And, you know, all these things, all these questions I'm asking. And, you know, I'm on the phone with my naturopath doctor's office and my nutrition consultant, and like, I'm like going outside of the box, the hospital box there. But one thing my doctor said, and I was kind of panicking about the cost of her being in the hospital for a week. And one of the things my doctor said to me, he's like, I don't like to keep patients in the hospital. He's like, they really do better at home if they can be home. So I try to get them stable and do whatever, but he says every night before I go to bed, I ask, what can I do to get this patient out of the hospital tomorrow? And I was like, oh, that energy, right? I was like, I like him, he asks questions. That's really cool. So when he's looking for, in his world, he's looking for answers. I'm looking for awarenesses. And then later, after she got out of the hospital, she was still having some struggles and you know, still pretty sick. And I started taking her, I'm a student of Access Consciousness, and I also teach classes using the Access Consciousness tools. And so I had this awareness, like asking questions for my daughter, like what's going to create more for her? What's going to create some ease for her body? And so I started taking her to my classes with me. I took her to my Choice of Possibility class that summer in Denver. And every single morning she would wake up very sick and not feeling good. And I'm like, I know you're not feeling good right now, but get every ounce of energy that you can muster and get your shit together and let's go to class. Because I know when you get there, you're going to feel better. And every single day we'd walk in and some of my friends would be like, Kenya, can I do some energy work on you? And I had like all kinds of stuff. She was receiving and receiving and receiving and got so much contribution for her body. And she also, you know, she was 13. She was also like, Mom, do I have to use that stupid tool? Do I have to ask a question? Do I have to say what else is possible? Do I have to like whatever tools I was encouraging her to use? But when we're at this class and Dr. Dane here, who's like super cute and super funny and very much outrageous and fun to be in his presence, when he says the exact same thing I'm saying, she'll listen to him, but she won't listen to me. I'm like, yes, score. So I take her to this class with me and she just gets so much out of it and she starts using tools. And then, you know, when we got home, we had to go with a follow-up and see the doctor again and put her on another prescription. And I'm like, oh. But she wasn't improving like I wanted her to. And so one day I kind of was just like, okay, what is going to create some ease for her body? And probably about 10 minutes later, I was like, oh, duh, Erika, take her to Dr. Anderson and do some NAAT work with her. And so I did. And he's a chiropractor, just for those of you that are taking notes that are like, what is she talking about? He does allergy elimination work. And so about after her third session, her body started to improve because I asked a question. All of a sudden, I could feel her body start relaxing into itself. The diarrhea started slowing down and eventually stopped after, you know, a couple months. And she's been symptom-free probably for a year now because I started asking questions. And what's going to create more for her here? And what's going to do, you know, what's it going to do if I do that? So that's one really powerful example in my life of how I've been able to create change for one of my kids. Another thing I do, when I wake up in the morning, I will start talking to my body. Hey, body, What sounds fun today? What do you want to do? How do you want to move? Because who likes getting on a treadmill? You do? Okay, you're the exception. That's cool. I'm glad you like it, because I can't stand it. It feels like going to jail. Hate it. I want to go swimming. I want to dance. And there are times I'll go in I've got a family room with weights in there, and I'll just go in and, I'll do a couple reps. I'm like, cool, I just moved my body, cool. I have a cute little dog that we just got this summer, and I love to take her for walks on the Jordan Trailway. So my body will be like, let's go on the trail today. The sky's gonna be really blue, and it's really pretty outside, and I wanna go see the ducks. Okay, cool, let's go see the ducks. And you can see the difference in the energy of when I say, body, how do you wanna move? Versus, I have to go get on the treadmill now, because that's what you're supposed to do, right? And, hey body, what kind of food do you want to ingest today? What's gonna serve you the most? And some days my body's like, I want eggs for breakfast. Cool, we'll have eggs. And other days my body's like, I want a smoothie. Or I'm not really hungry right now, let's wait to eat. Okay, cool. Okay, so you can start, when you put yourself in this, like, I have to eat this for breakfast, and I have to eat this. And my kids, I've kind of gotten over the whole, you have to have breakfast food for breakfast, because sometimes they have leftovers, pizza, hot dogs, whatever they're, and I stopped policing my kids on food. I do like them to eat healthy. Like, I would love them to have smoothies, but apparently hot dogs taste better, so I'm like, whatever. Hot dog's better than cereal, right? So I just start talking to my body. Hey, body, what's going to be fun for you? Where do you want to go on vacation? Hey, body, where do you want to be at this year? And I'll start to have awareness. Somebody will post something on Facebook about a tropical adventure, and I'm like, ooh, that looks fun. Body, do you want to be there? My body's like, yeah, let's do that. Okay? So you can use these kind of tools of asking your body questions. You can use them with your money. Let's see. I had some money questions in my head, and now they're like, do you guys not want to talk about money? She's like, yeah, I do. Everybody else is like, no, money's taboo. We don't talk about money in public. No, we do not. Money is more taboo than sex. People can talk about sex all day long. Do not talk about money. I have a friend that last week, she accidentally posted a picture, what is that when you take a picture of what's ever on your screen? No, not a selfie. Screenshot, that's the word. My brain's like, ooh, I can't think of things today. She accidentally takes a screenshot of her credit report score and posts it on Facebook. And it's like 813. I'm like, yes, you go, girl. That's awesome. And she accidentally did it. She just got a new phone. She doesn't know what she's doing with the new phone, and she was mortified that she accidentally posted her credit score on Facebook. But then she realized, wait a minute, everybody posts their weight loss before and after pictures. They post their, their unpleasant before pictures, right? And then they post their perfect after pictures. Why can't you post an 813 credit score on Facebook? Yeah. So if we can post our perfect bodies, why not talk about money? So how does money, okay, here we go. How does money want to come to me today? How does money want to come to me today? So we have the rules of it has to come through work, it has to come through seeing clients, it has to come from that stupid job I hate and the asshole boss I work for. Sorry, but not sorry. I like to swear, so it's fun for me. It also goes along with that breaking rules thing. So we have all of these rules about how we can make money. But it's like, how does money want to show up for me today? Somebody just gave me a $20 bill for running their bars out there. I was joking. I'm late to my own party because I was giving someone a head job. So she gives me a $20 bill, and I'm like, oh, I didn't expect that much. Wow, that's really cool. So it shows up in ways that we don't expect, ways that we're not really planning on. How can I out-create my money today? what would it take to outcreate my money today? Well, okay, so say you made $1,000 yesterday. What would it take to outcreate that? Okay?
Bump it up one.
Yeah, so, I mean, well, you can bump it up as much as you want. My husband, he's a firefighter, and I love to say that. It's really sexy. And it's different. And it's kind of rebellious. It's like everybody's running out of the building and they're running in, or, you know, you get in an accident and you get stuck in your car and he's like, oh yeah, I get to use the jaws of life and cut your car up, because he thinks that's fun. So after 2008, when the economy tanked, thank God they didn't lose their jobs, because, you know, all the cities and the tax revenue went down and all that stuff. So they got pay cuts. And then the next year they got their pay cuts back. And then they got like, ever since then they've only had a 1% raise. So it's like, you know, big downer. So this year he's like, and the mayor campaigned on, she like pulls in the police and the fire, we'll give you raises. I know you haven't had raises for a long time. So she makes these promises. And I'm not being political, like I'm not trying to be political. So he gets a 1% raise and he's like, ugh, ugh, and he's like, that bitch, she lied, and he's going on and on and on. And I find myself aligning with and agreeing with him, and I'm like, really? I can't believe her, rah! And I go in my bathroom and I look in the mirror and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm aligning and agreeing with him. So I get out my phone, I get out the calculator, do the math, 1% of his salary. I'm like, oh, that's not that much. I'm like, can I outcreate that? My body was like, yeah. So when you find yourself kind of, and I went out and told him, I'm like, I'm not aligning and agreeing with you anymore, or resisting and reacting. I'm not doing that, because that actually sticks you when you start doing that. So when I start asking a question, you can feel how heavy that energy is too, when you're like, oh, that bitch, I'm not gonna, you know, whatever. And you start asking questions like, well, what would it take to outcreate that money, that 1%, that whoop-de freaking do 1%? Or, you know, what else is possible here? Because that 1% is not very much fun. Like, what amount would be fun? How many of you teach classes or do some kind of a service and you're never sure how much to charge? How many? There's a couple of you. You can talk to the class or to your sessions, to your clients. Not like Holly's my client. I'm not going to just say, Holly, what would be fun for you to pay me? No, I'm going to energetically ask this question. It's like, okay, sessions, how much do you want to be? Class, how much do you want to be? I started out my healing work with something called pranayama breath work. And I did that in private sessions, and I did it in groups. And then I found Access Consciousness, and I started doing bars, and, you know, it was like the next best thing. And so I haven't done a breath circle for a really long time. And I just did one in August, and I called it Breath, Brunch, and Magic. I'll be doing another one on New Year's Day, if you want to come. So I do this event, and I'm like sitting there doing the Facebook invite and the website and all that stuff, and I'm like, huh, how much do you want to be? Because I used to way undercut myself. You know, I would like $25 and then, you know, $19.99 early bird or whatever I did. And I was like, how much do you want to be, Breath, Brunch, and Magic? And it was like, I want to be $35. And then after the early bird, you can charge $45. And I was like, oh, okay. And I didn't judge it. I didn't question it. I was like, cool. I put that on the website. I actually had people pay me $45 to come spend 3 hours with me and eat my food and have me hold their feet and put oils on them, and while they're doing this funny breathwork stuff. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. Now I wonder how much I would have got out of it if I actually said, oh, you're just going to be, you know, $20 for the early bird and $25 for the regular price. I'm wondering how much change people get when the event asks or says it wants to be a certain amount of money, and how much more change people get when I honor that rather than judging, you know, in my head how much it's supposed to be, right? So you can ask things like that. How much do you want to be? If you are any of you in a position of paying people, you have to decide their salaries. Okay? What amount is going to create more? So that's a question you can ask. What's going to create more for our business and for this person? Okay? And then when you're asking a question, there's another tool I want to throw in here. Questions are super, super important. But when we're trying to decide what's going to work the best? There's this tool called light and heavy. So whatever feels light is the truth, and whatever feels heavy is a lie. Okay? So if you, I'm going to pay this person, you know, $1,000, maybe they're part-time, maybe I'm going to pay them $1,500 a month, and it feels really heavy. Okay, well, what number actually is going to contribute the most to them, to me, to the business? Oh, $2,000? Okay, cool. We'll pay them $2,000. And so when you can follow the energy of stuff like that, because $2,000 felt lighter than $1,500, even though it's more money and maybe it doesn't make sense financially or in the books or whatever, you may create a whole bunch more because you asked a question. Okay? So, what are some of the things, I want you guys to just blurt out, what are some of the things that you guys are working on in your lives that you're focusing on right now?
Building a business.
Building a business, okay. Health?
My MBA.
Your MBA, awesome. Changing careers? Who said changing careers? Okay. Do you know what you're moving to, or are you trying to figure that out? You do? Okay. I've worked with some men who, they get laid off and they're like 50, and they go into that whole, I'm worthless, I have to start over in another industry, and I'm going to take a huge pay cut, right? And they're like, and I just don't even know what I want to do. And so when they're laying on my table and I've got my hands on their head and I'm asking them questions, and it's like, well, if you could get paid to do anything, what would it be? And a lot of them say golf. I'm like, awesome. What would it take for you to get paid to golf? They're like, I don't know. I said, well, why don't you, how many golf shops have you, or golf courses have you got on their website and looked and see what's available? I'm like, would you be willing to mow their lawn? He's like, yeah. Would you be willing to work in the pro shop? Yeah. Okay, well, there's a start. You can move up. I actually have a cousin-in-law that started out in the gift shop, and he's a golf pro now, and he's the head guy at a big golf course. You know, he's late 40s now. He's worked a long time to get there, but you can start asking questions, and you can start to get the energy of what's going to create more for your life. That's how people get into jobs that make them happy, is to ask questions. Ooh, what job would be fun? How many of you ever asked that question when you're online looking at jobs? Ooh, I wonder what would be fun. Hey, body, what job do you want to show up to? Right?
I have a question.
Okay.
So I ask those questions, but I really don't have, like, I feel like I'm walking.
Okay.
You know, like when you think it's like Christmas morning, you can have anything you want. It's kind of huge. But you're sort of like, I know I can bring anything in, so what do I focus on? Because otherwise, all my energy is going to go in all these different directions. What's a good clarifying question? Right? Really good question.
What's going to create more for me right now? What's exciting right now? In this 10 seconds, what would I choose? Okay. Okay, then talk to your body. Body, show me what's light. Body, show me light. Body, show me heavy. So if you do sway testing, muscle testing, Seth, that's one way to listen to your body. So my body does different things. So sometimes I can feel energy move up if it's light. Sometimes I feel it move down. Or sometimes I'll just get a in my stomach. Sometimes I'll get chills and tinglies up and down my arms. Or I'll just feel really excited. If there's something that like a class I want to go to, and I'll say, hey, body, do you want to be at that class? And my body's like, yes. Okay, we're going. And it's $3,000. Oh. Okay, what would it take to create this money? Right? So I start asking questions. Instead of going into, like, I can't afford it. Please, if you have that in your vocabulary, I can't afford it, please wipe that out. That is one of the most disempowering things you can do for yourself, is to say, I can't afford it. She's over there going, oh my gosh. And we were all raised that way. Back to the money thing. We were all raised that way. She said that? Oh, yeah. So ask a question. Hey, body, do you want to be at that class? Hey, body, do you want to be on that vacation? Body, do you want to live in this house? Okay. Universe, show me the money. What's it going to take to live in that house or go on that vacation or have that whatever? All right. Can you see how much more that creates than saying, I can't afford it?
I just wanted to mention to her question of bars.
You know, I did think of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
What is bars? Because I'm thinking
Woohoo! It's a different kind of happy hour. Bars is an energetic modality that the practitioner holds. There's 32 points on your head, and they all mean different things: body, sexuality, joy, sadness, creativity. I think I said money, but if I didn't, money. Healing, all these different things. And when we hold those, any area you have in your life where there's stuck energy, it dissipates all of that. So it changes the electromagnetic currency in your brain, or frequency, whatever, in your brain. It changed my sleep patterns. I used to have severe insomnia. I'd lay awake at night, and then I'd finally go to sleep, and then my husband would snore and it'd wake me up. It totally changed my sleep patterns. I lay down, I'll read for a few minutes, and I'm out. Because it quiets your head. You don't have those ruminating thoughts. I have a friend in Canada who's actually doing kind of some qualitative studies with it. She'll have a client come in and she'll say, okay, what's your anxiety rate, 1 to 10, depression, stress, body pain, whatever the questions are, and what's coming, and then she does it again after. So what she's discovering is 98% reduction in stress, 50% reduction in anxiety. How many of you have anxiety? Yeah, it's really common. I used to have it too. PTSD, about a 45% reduction in depression. So it's clearing all this crap out of your head so that you can think, so that you can receive, so that you can have your own awareness, so that you can function from a space of being you. How many of you are empathic? Yeah, like at least half the room. Probably the rest of you. You wouldn't be at this event if you weren't, probably. Psychic and aware and empathic, and you know what's going on with other people, and you can feel their pain, or whatever, the earth, you may be empathic to the earth. So the bars is a way to be able to cope with that stuff.
So is it a practitioner that does it?
Yeah, so yeah, you go to see a practitioner. When I do sessions, I actually, I ask a lot of questions. I'm kind of a natural counselor. My background is in psychology. I didn't go through the track to be a counselor. I actually chose the coaching and healer industry instead. But I have this ability to talk to people and get to the core of what's holding them back. So you may just have some limitation in your head going on that's keeping you from being able to know, right? To know what you know. Yeah. If I did know, what would I know? There's a good question for you. If I did know, what would it be? So then you, all of a sudden, instead of saying I don't know, you're asking a question and you're expanding that possibility, right? Before you, I was on a path. I was saying something, and then you asked me a question, and now I can't remember where I was going. Okay, so now where do we want to go? Anybody else have any questions? I'm not even sure what the time is. 11:30? Okay, so it's probably about time to wrap up.
Yeah.
Show me the money.
Empowering yourself.
Yeah, so everywhere, let's leave it with this, because everywhere you've decided that you can't afford something, when it's something that you know you want, what do we need to do? Ask a question. She's like, Pod Pocket. She said destroy and uncreate it. We have this other little tool. It's the Access Consciousness Clearing Statement that we use to clear stuff. And so she's like, so after, there are more steps, but today we're just talking about the power of asking questions. So ask some questions. Hey, universe, show me the money. What would it take for me to outcreate this? What would it take for me to have this? Universe, I'm having that. What's it going to take? Okay, I've got another $3,000 class on my agenda, or my calendar for next year. And how many people have $3,000 to go pay for a class? Nobody raised their hands. Cool. So she does. All right. Woo! And so, yeah, like bringing it in. Well, when I took my very first Access class, like the bars class is $300, no big deal, right? Well, for some people it is. For me, it wasn't. And I quickly made my money back. Then I wanted to take an $1,800 class, and when I saw that price tag, I was like, I went into what we call a beyond, because you can't see beyond it. You can't feel beyond it. You can't know anything beyond it. And I was like, oh, wait a minute, we're doing things differently here. What's it going to take to have that money? What's it going to take to be in San Diego at that class? And in 2 months, my business made enough money to pay for me to go to that class. Okay? So when you want it, when you're having it, there's a way to get it to show up. And start by asking questions, okay? We can change our health. We can change our bodies. We can change our money. We can change our relationships. We can change anything we want by simply beginning to ask questions. If you're putting something on your vision board, that's a really powerful law of attraction tool. If you're putting that on your vision board, okay, universe, what's it going to take to have that? Who do I have to be to have that? Okay? So we'll just stop right here and I'll leave you guys with that message.